Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel with Love Ife, and thank you so much for joining me on the final episode of my chapter 1. Thank you again for bearing with me. Although the video quality wasn't the best, at least y'all were able to follow through with the message, which is what was important. So today I will be drinking a glass of red again, and it's gonna be called 74 Tawny. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, but that's what it is. And it's actually a 20% alcohol, but it's nice. It's not bad. It's I do like sweet reds as well, but I like them, when I'm just trying to relax or something. But when I do have my meals, like my steaks, my lamb chops, that sort of thing, I like to drink more dry, medium to dry reds, or like more of a blend. The wine is quite sweet, so if you do like sweet wine, this is actually one of the best. It's kind of like a dessert wine. I do like sweet wine sometimes, but not all the time. So today I will be continuing on my story on how God actually used somebody from across the world to send me a message about my life, about some confirmation that he'd already told me about in the past, about my future husband, and how much God is interested in your free will and the importance of practicing self-love, self-care, and how God is also interested in that. So for me, it's so important, like when I get a message, to process things, and that's how I practice my self-care. Because I know when I was growing up, they were talking about trust and obey, for there's no other way, blah blah blah, but they don't really talk about like how you actually process things, because sometimes the information that you're getting from God is really tough to swallow, right? So you need to process it. So God is also okay with that. As long as you ask him, as long as you have that relationship, you can actually have a conversation with God and tell him that I need to process this because this is a lot for me right now. So that's what I did. And as usual, I will like to reiterate my focus on a mind, body, and soul experience when dealing with God, and also trying to come from a place of love and understanding when dealing with people. I hope you enjoy watching, and yeah, thank you for joining me for my final episode of my chapter 1. And so I get to Lagos, had a great time again. I always have a great time in Lagos. And then, in the conversation she was having with me, she told me, oh, you're gonna meet your husband. She describes him to me a little bit, and she said, this is who he's going to be to you. He's going to be your friend. He's going to be your provider. He's going to be your best friend. You guys are going to be of one spirit. She said, one spirit. And she said, this is what you've been asking God for. He's heard your prayers. He's listened to you. And she just told me a little bit more about like his personality and his character and everything. And I was just like, whoa, like this is a lot. But I listened. I'm like, do you know who he is? She's like, yeah, kind of. Like, he's somebody you know from before, like you've known from before. And I was like a friend? She's like, she's not sure yet, but he's somebody you've known from before. She kept saying that. And I was like, okay. So every time I was in Lagos, she would call me and she'd be like, so how was your day? Did you have a good time? Did you meet anybody new today? Did you meet anybody? And I'm just like, not really. But I had a great time though. And then she would say, all right, that's great. You know, just make sure you have a good time. Don't stress. I know you're healing, but like, don't stress yourself. Just relax. Like, God actually wants you to relax. And I knew that before because God told me, like, go to Nigeria and just chill and relax. So I knew that that's what I was supposed to be doing. So I was like, okay, cool. You know, so I don't really take her too seriously. And then I went to Lagos and I met somebody. And I was like, oh, okay. Okay. And I didn't realize it at first, you know, when I met the person. This will be a story for another day, but when I met the person, I didn't realize it at first. It's only when I got back, I messaged her and, you know, and we would see sometimes and I would talk to her. I wanted to ask her, is it this person? Because there was a time we actually had a conversation and she's like, show me your ex. At this time I was still like trying to feel like, oh, maybe at some point we'll get back together or whatever, but I wasn't. I don't know, I was just there somewhere in between. But then she's like, nah, it's not him, and I was just like, oh, okay. And then I just kept showing her pictures of like guys that I've known from before. You know, some of them we've had a relationship and some of them we've not. And she's like, no, it's not him. Then in my mind, something told me to show her one picture of somebody that I was just like, nah, it can't be this person. It just can't. I was just like, nah. I didn't show her because there was no way in my mind that I could wrap my head around it being this person, right? So I just didn't show her. But over time, through the months that passed, over time it was like God was giving me signs that this was the person, but I didn't know. Every once in a while I would like stumble across this person's profile and I'd be like, why am I here, you know? Or maybe the person would be on like Instagram Live or something, and I would just stumble. Like there was literally a time where I just like was scrolling through Instagram and I was just like, yeah, I'm just chilling. And then I just clicked on this person's profile and the person was on Instagram Live with somebody else. And I was just like, why am I here? And I ended up listening to the entire message. Like it was a spiritual message. And I ended up listening to it and I was just like, oh my gosh, I think I was meant to click on this. You know, at this time, I still didn't know. That this person was, you know. So then I would get little pieces, bits and pieces. Even how I met up with the person was just a miracle. Like the way it even happened, the way the woman eventually described this person for me, like everything, you know. But that's a story for another day. But yeah, I didn't even find out for sure that this was the person until August. And then when I finally realized it, I was over again. You know what? In my relationship with God, I always say, God, give me time to process. God is interested, in your free will. He's interested in the time it will take to process information. And he works according to your personality. He will not give you something that you cannot handle. He works according to your personality. So my personality, I like to take a step back and process things. I have a lot of ideas in my head. I have a lot of things that I want to do. Self-care is so important to me. I need space. I need space. I need time to think. I need time to process. All those things are important to me. So when I found out about this person, like for sure that this person was the person, I was like, God, I need time to process because this is too much. I cannot wrap my head around it. I just can't. I don't even believe it. But I will tell you the story about that later. I will tell you how I got confirmation that this person was actually the person for me. But I was just all over the place with like, I can't believe this. This is too much for me. God, please don't do this. Why can't you just give me a normal person? Like, it's not like the person's a bad person. It's just like, it just seems like we're from two different worlds. You know what I mean? So for me, I just couldn't fathom that, you know? So anyway, God was like, Don't worry, girl. Like, take your time, process. I know it's gonna be overwhelming for you. Just to end this part of my story, going back again to the month of June, June 22nd, 2020. Mark that date. I've never fasted before on my own without my parents. June 2020 was the first time that I did that. And I just felt in my spirit that I just needed to fast, you know? And that was when Black Lives Matter was happening. That was when COVID happened. You know, so much was happening then. It was like a time for isolation for a lot of people. You know, people were realizing a lot of things about themselves and their families that they didn't know before. And I was just there up in my crib in London, and I was just like not really seeing nobody. So I was just chilling, right? So God was like, you know what, call up a fast, you know, post it on your Instagram, post it on your social media. He just led me in that direction. I'd never done that before in my life. I'd never even fasted on my own before in my life. And God was like, you know what, do it. So I did it. I just did it. You know, because when you love God, you'll just do what he asks. But let's just rewind to the night that I prayed to God. There was just one night after I came back from Nigeria. I was just like, God, just use me, just use me, just use me for your glory. Just use me for whatever you want. Because at this point, I've already known and learned like years before that like there's nothing to this life without God in it. And I cannot stress this enough. There is nothing to this life without God in it. So, for me, God is everything. Like, I'm not just saying that like in a religious way. I'm saying it in a spiritual way. For me, God's love is everything. And I've learned it from all my fears, all my experiences, all my life. I've just learned that like this world is nothing. Without God, people are depressed. They don't have a sense of life. They don't know the meaning of life. It feels like there's no meaning. It has no purpose. I've gotten to the point where I just really just felt like there is no purpose to life. I've been depressed before, you know? So I've had all of my experiences. So like I can relate to anybody right now because there's no way that I cannot empathize with somebody that like has been through things that I've been through, first of all. And the ones that have not, like coming from a place of love and understanding is where it's always at for me, you know? Yeah, so there's nothing without God. So I told God, use me, just use me. I don't care what you do, just use me. So that's when God, like that night that I prayed for God to use me was the night that God showed me a dream. And he said, you know what? This is what your life is gonna be like. These are all the spiritual gifts that you have. And there is so much more for you in life. And I am there with you. And I have positioned a guardian angel to come and to be with you. All you have to do is say the word, and he is there to act on it. That is what God told me. And he showed me this beautiful dream of me and my life and me just, you know, my purpose and helping people and doing all these things like for God. And I'm just doing it out of love, you know? So for me, I'm just like, whoa, this is a lot. So I write down all of my dreams now. Before I didn't used to do that, but now I do. And I started writing. So I wrote that dream down. Then he showed me my husband in that dream. So I wrote it down. He showed me all these things. So he then told me to go fast. So I put it on my social media. And then some people messaged me on WhatsApp or DM'd me, and they're like, they want to join in the fasting and prayer. So they joined in. We fasted for a whole month. Sometimes I wouldn't even eat till because I was so into it spiritually, and I was just receiving so much fulfillment, and I was getting filled like a cup, and I was just receiving and all the energy. I was receiving so much spiritually that sometimes I wouldn't even eat till 8 or 9 p.m. from 12 a.m. It was just amazing. it was just amazing. I don't know how to describe the feeling. It was just amazing. Like I would just stay up at night just worshiping God. I would just put YouTube on and I would just listen to songs. And like throughout my day when I was working at home, because I was working from home at that time during COVID, so throughout my day I would just listen to music. And sometimes when I'm in a bad mood, I would just connect to God and God would like talk to me and he would be like, it's okay, don't worry, this is just a season in your life and I know you're alone right now, but you're supposed to be in isolation. You're supposed to be spending time with me. You're supposed to be, because this is your time where I'm preparing you for what is to come. So every single situation that you're gonna be in, God is always gonna prepare you for what is to come. So every time I'm in a bad mood or a bad situation, even now in my life, I go back to that moment and I'm like, God, like this is why you actually led me through that path. Because sometimes it's lonely, you know, it's really lonely. Honestly, it's really lonely. I was alone most of the time. I had no family around me in London. It's so lonely, but God was like, don't worry, I am here with you always. So he just put that peace in my heart. And so I would just comment on social media and be like, give your life to Christ, you know, he's waiting for you, all you have to do is invite him in. So I would just post that, but obviously I understand that not everybody is where I'm at and people are actually taking COVID really badly. It was impacting a lot of people in a negative light, so I kind of understood that. He just gave me peace through that time and through that moment. And then one day, June 22nd, 2020, God said, right. The same feeling that came on me June 21st, 2016. Same exact feeling that came on me June 22nd, 2020. And I wrote. And I was just writing and writing. And I was possessed again by God, Spirit, Holy Spirit. I was just writing. I'm like, God, thank you so much, but I'm tired. I need to go eat. God is like, oh, no worries, girl. You good? So it's like, don't worry, you can stop now. So I stopped. And I looked through it. At this time, I'm in a better spot spiritually, so I can actually just, now it's not as overwhelming, and I've had 4 years to process. That's how long it takes for me to process things sometimes. 4 years. So I looked back and I was just reading through it, and it was exactly the same as God told me in 2016. And I was like, what? And it was the same, but it was more. So he improved, he evolved a little bit on those things that he told me. That was also the same day that I went back to my notes in 2016 and I looked through it and I was like, whoa, I cannot believe that this is exactly the same thing. And God was like, God is so good. He's just so good. And it was almost exactly, he just added more things to it to like just reassure me and to confirm some things, and some things that had already happened in my life, he confirmed it for me. And then also there's sometimes where he tells you something and you don't interpret it right, and he like corrected those things again in 2020, but everything was pretty much like verbatim, right? It was pretty much verbatim. So I was just like, every time God like surprises me, like it's still overwhelming, but every time I deal with it a little better than the last, right? So I was overwhelmed, but I was like, God, okay, I can handle this. This is not 2016. I could take it. Yeah. I was overwhelmed. Don't get it twisted. I was overwhelmed, but I'm like, okay, God, I could take it. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. But I was like, I cannot believe God is this. Like, he doesn't forget anything. He wrote it down, my purpose again. And guess what? It's the exact same month. June 22nd, 2020. June 21st, 2016. Exactly 4 years later, I go back and I read the letter of 2016 and it matches up. And then it also matches up to what the woman told me at the airport. It all just matched up. That's why I said God is not a God of confusion. He will bring people. He will leave the 99 to come get the one. He would send people from all across the other side of the world just to come pass on a message to you. If it's at the airport, if it's on the streets, he will do what it takes to get you into the fold, into his fold, into his presence, to get you to believe like he would part the sea for you, girl. He would part the sea for you, guy. He would do whatever it takes. God is love, and his banner over you is love. And that is where I am going to leave this message, because if I keep going, I would just keep going with my story and it just never ends. But I just put this out there. I'm just sharing this because I just feel like there's somebody out there that just needs to hear my story. Somebody might see it and be like, oh my God, I've been, hearing God's voice and God has been wanting to talk to me and I just don't know how to handle it. I don't know how to react, whatever it is, just send me a DM if you're confused. Send me a message on YouTube if you're confused. Go on my Instagram and send me a message on there. My Instagram and Twitter is _IFEO. So just send me a message, send me a DM. If you have any other topics that you would want to talk about, please send me a message, send me a DM. If you have any questions that you want to ask, I will have a conversation with you. I will talk about it. But yeah, I really just hope that my story, this part of my story, because it's still ongoing and there is just so much I still haven't talked about, but I really hope that my story helps somebody out there. And yeah, so thank you so much. Please like and subscribe. And yeah, I'm just gonna leave you with this message again. It's a mind, body, and soul experience. And I'm always gonna try and come from a place of love and understanding. And God is love, and his banner over us is love. Always, always. Thank you so much for watching. And I really, really hope that you enjoyed my journey today. And I will see you later. Bye. Thank you again so much for watching. And I really do hope that you enjoyed the final episode of my chapter 1. I really hope that you learned a little bit, even if it's just one person that took something out of it. To be honest, that makes my whole year. And that's why I'm doing this, so that, if there's somebody here that it resonates with, I would really be glad. So thank you again so much for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, follow, and share. And I will see you next time. Bye.